Hello everyone and welcome back for another paranormal pit stop. Tonight, we'll be taking a look into the history and legends surrounding a small West Virginian town steeped in mystery, infamy, and lore. Are you ready to explore Harpers Ferry? Nestled away in the lower Shenandoah Valley at the confluence of the Potomac and Shenandoah rivers lies Harpers Ferry, the state's easternmost community, and a point that, during the Civil War, marked the farthest northern boundary of the Confederacy. Historically, a ferry purposed to cross the current was first established on site in 1733 and was acquired in 1747 by one Robert Harper, who would go on by 1751 to purchase 126 additional acres of local land for the purpose of creating a new settlement. In 1763, this town was officially established as Shenandoah Falls at Mr. Harper's Ferry, which was eventually shortened to, more simply, Harper's Ferry. In 1796, the federal government would acquire a parcel of land from heirs of Robert, and in 1799 would begin construction on the United States Armory and Arsenal at Harper's Ferry. From October 16th to 18th of 1859, abolitionist John Brown would carry out a raid on the arsenal, which tragically would result in the capture and execution of he and 6 of his men. 11 others would lose their lives in the raid itself, and 1 would expire later in jail, while the arsenal would sustain only 1 military and 6 civilian casualties. Through the Civil War, Harper's Ferry would change hands a total of 8 times, with the most significant conflict endured by the community transpiring from September 12th to 15th of 1862, during which time the Confederacy surrounded, bombarded, and captured the Union garrison. When all was said and done, Union forces had suffered 44 deaths, 173 injuries, and 12,419 captures, while the Confederacy had only sustained 39 fatalities, but 247 injuries. By the end of the war, Harper's Ferry sat in ruin, with the community left to rebuild what they could over time. Slowly, it would grow into something of a tourist destination. In 1944, the historic section of town was declared a national monument, and later, in 1963, the area would be officialized as a National Historical Park. Into the present, Harper's Ferry remains a popular stop for tourists and history buffs alike, and offers a range of historic tours, alongside ghost tours that are actually claimed to be the oldest in all of America. And rightfully so, as the entirety of the locale is rumored to be absolutely saturated in inexplicable activity. To start, Harper's Ferry's prominent train tracks are said to host several infestations. One popular story tells of a woman named Jenny, whose dress is said to have caught fire, resulting in her panicking and running just a little too close to the tracks, where she was hit and killed by a passing train. Since her death, a huge ball of flame has been sighted floating the line and is usually accompanied by an unearthly screaming. Another tale tells that sometime in the 1800s, a 9-year-old girl was also hit and killed while playing near the tracks, and her small apparition, clad in a white dress, has been sighted roaming the area. St. Peter's Catholic Church was constructed in 1833 and served as a makeshift hospital through the Civil War, and many visiting have told of encounters with a ghostly soldier on its front steps who's been known to call out, "Thank God, I'm saved," as well as of run-ins with a spectral priest who wanders around outside. Reported across the whole of Harper's Ferry, namely in older structures, are the sounds of disembodied marching, drums, voices, and horse hooves, orbs and strange mists visible to the naked eye, encounters with shadowy apparitions and the feeling of being constantly followed, and sightings of ghostly soldiers, both Confederate and Union, as well as of various non-militant civilians in clothing spanning the ages. At the Harper house, many have told of encounters with the entity of a woman in 18th century clothing, thought to be the spirit of Rachel Harper, Robert's wife. It's said that in life, Rachel hid jars of money and valuables around their property to keep their fortunes safe from tax collectors. Sadly, Rachel would fall from a ladder and die of her injuries before she could tell anyone, even Robert, where the jars were buried, and it's suspected her soul is sticking around to guard their hard-earned wealth. Lastly, in Hog Alley, the ghost of Dangerfield Newby, a freed slave who was murdered and left out for the hogs during Brown's raid, has been sighted wandering about, a gruesome scar on his neck. And at John Brown's fort, the spirit of Brown himself has been sighted wandering about as well as walking nearby streets, a confident and content look upon his face, some say as he revels in the outcome of the Civil War. Thanks for tuning in for this Paranormal Pit Stop. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.